Welcome back, everyone, to the Hello World Guide. This is the next episode of our series in which we are learning C++ from scratch for beginners. And in this video, what we are going to do is we are going to learn how to kind of make your own functions. So before we start, you know that we have got a main function in our program that we have already created, and this has got I told you, like in the first video, in the second video actually we went through of how to create this, and later we did this. Like in the last video we used this get line and function, and I told you how to use function and get the whole line. So now we are going to create a function like this, which we can actually use inside of our main function or some other function. So how to create a function? Well, we are going to create the function in here. So let's start. Now if you remember, from the way we previously did it, I just told you to say int when making a function. However, that is actually not what you need to do. The point is that each function can have basically there are two kind of ways to do a function. So the idea is that a function can either return a value or it cannot. So so this function, so we have got a function which executes, but at the end it also gives a result back, while we've got another function that gives no result when it ends, but just does something that we tell it to. So a function that gives a result, if a function gives a result, you need to specify the return type, the type of the result. So that's called the return type. You need to specify that for the function. And in case of the main function, it is int, which means a number. Now we are not actually giving this any number back, but we'll learn how to do that in a second. But if I start my program, what you should see is that as soon as I end this, you can see it says that exited with code 0. Now this code that we are exiting with is basically the return value of the of the function. So our main is currently returning 0, and we can make it return other stuff as well, but for now let's leave it. For now we want to create a function that does not have any anything basically in it. So we want to create a function that does not return any value. So what you need to do do that is to specify the return type as void, which means nothing. And if you specify it as void, then it won't actually have any return value and it won't return anything. And then you can put the name of the function, and let's just say greet for the name. You can obviously not add spaces in the names, and then you need to put a pair of parentheses, and then you need to enter, and then you need to put these curly brackets, and well, that's pretty good. We are pretty much ready to make more stuff here. So that is pretty awesome. Now with that done, what we can do is we can actually put whatever we want in this function. So for now what we are going to do is we are just going to go ahead and say cout, and we are going to say let's say we are going to say that's some kind of greeting, and I'm going to say have a nice day. Now this will not execute automatically. It will not execute until we actually call this function. So only the main function executes automatically. Every other function needs to be called or executed in order for it to actually do its work. So for that, let's just let me first finish this off first. After doing that, I'm going to remove everything we have got here, and we are going to remove everything in the main function, and let's just start fresh, and let's actually go ahead and say greet. Now in order to call the function, all you need to do is, if I actually not do anything here, by the way, what you should see is that it starts the debugging, and it just and this does not get called. But if I go ahead and say greet, and then I add a couple of parentheses after that, we learned how to call function in the previous video. What you should see is that now that function executes, and it says have a nice day, which is pretty awesome. But that's not all that you can do. You can actually make it kind of a different way, which is that you can provide values to functions. So the idea is that I told you when we were doing getLine, we were providing the function with arguments. Now your own function can also take arguments. If you go under this pair of parentheses, and you can basically take arguments here. So in order to take an argument, what you need to specify is you need to specify the arguments. First of all, you need to specify the argument type. Yeah. So let's just say int a. And this basically means that we will have a type of the argument, and the type of the argument is int integer, and we have got a a name of the actual value, which is known as parameter, and we have got a it's known as parameter inside of the function, and like in here it's known as a argument. And the idea is that this is the name, and we can actually use this like a variable. Now you can see it's giving us an error here because we are required to provide this with a value and we are not. And if I add another one, integer b, and let's say go ahead and say two integers here, so let's say 32 and 18, 18, like that. And now we have you can see the error goes away, but currently we are not using this value anywhere, and we can actually do that. And by like this, let's say, let's do this, and let me say a, and let's say like that. It's kind of simple. Let me separate this, and now let's say a, then we are going to say plus, and then we are going to say b, and then we are going to say is. So basically we are kind of making a string here, so a plus b is, and then we can say a plus b, and like that. We are going to add spaces to make it more readable, and then I'm going to say a full stop, a period, and a new line. Alright, so this will basically, if I start the game now, what you should see is that it says 32 plus 18 is 50. But if I go ahead and change the argument here, I can change this to 16, and now what it does is that it says 16 plus 18 is 34. So this is pretty much how functions work, and I will see you in the next video, in which we will learn some other stuff. And make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for that, and I will see you in the next one, and bye.